The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by the premium cigars at Havana Smoke Shop. Visit their 2 locations, I-55 in Jackson and on the Res, for your premium cigar needs. Only at Havana Smoke Shop.
Let's do it.
This is the SEC Insider Hit. And it's presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
Oh, my goodness. We'll go to Tupelo here in a second. Hope all of you are doing well. God bless those of you impacted by the storms this week. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Man, this time of year, you got to be careful. Goodness gracious. Those people that are in the delivery, transportation world, sales reps, got to keep an eye on what's happening. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds. I'm your host, Bo Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We'll welcome in Parrish Alford in a few minutes. DJournal.com, Ole Miss Insider. Do a little football and baseball with Mr. Alford, who's coming off a big birthday weekend. We'll have to ask him what all he did there. May have partied into the wee hours of the morning on the square in Oxford. Mr. Parrish Alford will join us on the Modelo guest line. Blake, are we giving away that Modelo cooler?
Yeah, man. Let's do it. A little Cinco de Mayo giveaway tomorrow.
Capital City has dropped off some cool stuff over the years.
That one's pretty sweet.
That's the coolest cooler that has been dropped off here. That Modelo cooler is unbelievable.
It screams like 80s shagwagon cooler.
Okay.
With the like muted kind of greenish gold on it. It's got the shadowed lions, so like, you know, it's like same color on color, gold on gold lions heads on there. I mean, those are really clean looking.
It's great looking. Even though it's Notre Dame colors, it is great looking.
No, it's a very retro vibe to it. Like retro. I think if you pulled up to the beach and you drop that thing out, anybody who walks by is going to think, all right, well, I kind of want to hang out with these guys because they probably know what they're doing.
I agree with that.
It's got, as opposed to like just a generic Walmart cooler, you know, like it's got the vibe of like, I've experienced many parties and I know how to do this. And
I know how to party.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the vibe. That's
kind of the vibe
that I give off. I understand.
No. I was thinking that that's the vibe that this show gives off.
Okay.
You're just riding the coattails.
Gotcha.
Which you're doing a good job.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're in.
Speaking of riding coattails.
Okay.
How about Malik Willis riding the coattails of Hugh Freeze to a top 10 projected draft pick in 2022?
Yeah, I'm looking at this is going to – Ole Miss fans are going to go, what? And Cal State fans are going to chuckle.
I'm going what?
I'm going what? Dane Brugler, who I like. Okay, he's the NFL draft insider.
He's incredible.
On theathletic.com. He does not have Matt Corral in his first round. He's already dropped his 2022.
Yeah,
okay,
shocker.
Hold on. Let me get y'all ready. He dropped his 2022 mock or whatever projected.
First round.
Because they don't know. Yeah. We don't know who's going to pick where, but he's just kind of guessing. And I'm going to go over how many QBs he has going in the first round.
It's a high number.
And none of them are by the name of Matt Corral, who I think could very, very, could be the most talented quarterback in next year's draft. So here we go. He's got Spencer Rattler going number 1.
To Houston.
He's got Sam Howell from North Carolina. Most of you don't know who that is. Quarterback at North Carolina.
Mac Brown.
Going number 2. You skip a couple of, and then at number 6 to the Eagles, he's got Malik Willis.
Out of Liberty?
What? Going to the Eagles. And then he has JT Daniels going number 10 to the Washington football team. And then there's another QB that none of you have ever watched by the name of Phil Jerkovic?
I was going to say Jerkovich. Yeah, something like that.
Jerkovic out of Boston College.
So he's got 5 in the top 15, just like this year. But none of them are Matt Corral.
Oh, my goodness.
That is interesting. And he doesn't even have Corral in this top 32.
No.
I was surprised, though. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not shocked that a national guy has Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell up at the top.
So I asked Luganville last week who he would take. Spencer, off the air. I said, would you take Spencer Rattler or Matt Corral? And he said, Matt Corral. By nose. Not a lot of, not a big gap, but he said he would take Matt Corral. Luganville will join us at 9:30 today, by the way. So let me give you the
I just
the
can't
lineup.
believe that he's not even on that list.
Oh, I can't either. I can't either. Especially with the year that he had against playing all conference teams schedule. He didn't even get to feast on UT Chattanooga and Georgia Southern and some other schools. So anyway, but we'll have Parrish Alford on right now. Ole Miss Insider, djournal.com. Pete Lavin with the M Braves. It's opening day for the Atlanta Braves AA affiliate. And they can have a packed ballpark, which is awesome. Awesome, awesome. M Braves opening day. They're here for 6 straight days, Tuesday through Sunday. And then Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, will join us at 8:30. And then Tom Luganville, National College Football Analyst with ESPN, will join us at 9:30 today. All of our guests join us on the Modelo guest line. And we welcome in our guest who has been celebrating a birthday, and that would be Parrish Alford. Parrish, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bo. I'm fine. How are y'all?
I'm doing well. Did you have did you celebrate with a good dinner or anything fun?
I celebrated by watching a tornado pass through at 10 o'clock at night. So it was interesting. It was just kind of a relaxing day and a stressful evening, but I'm thankful that the damage was not more here in Tupelo, and hope that everybody is weather aware today.
So y'all are okay. And
yes.
Scary moment, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Elijah Moore to the New York Jets. What did you make of – I thought he could have gone in the first round. I think he's first-round talent. Still, second pick in the second round's awesome. What was your reaction to Elijah Moore to the New York Jets in the second round, Parrish?
Yeah, I do think he's first-round talent, but just based on the evaluations that I was seeing ahead of time, it always looked like he was a borderline first-round pick. I think the Jets got a steal. I think he's a playmaker. He catches the ball in traffic. He's a yards after the catch guy. He's small, but he doesn't go down on first contact all the time. I just think, I think he's a steal, and he's going to be a hard worker. As I looked at Elijah before the draft, we saw DK Metcalf slide, and there were questions about the injury. There were all these things. Elijah didn't have the baggage that was going to cause him to slide in the draft. He didn't have injury problems. He didn't have work ethic problems. He didn't have off the field problems. He had the one shining moment there in the end zone at the Egg Bowl in 2019, but he had a whole year in which I thought he removed himself from that. I did have someone in our discussion group mention, hey, maybe he didn't go higher in the draft because of this. I thought, wow, no, I would disagree there. If you look back at his time at Ole Miss, there was nothing there except hard work and production, other than that Egg Bowl, and he had a year to explain that he has grown and moved on from there.
I was told by people in the program he's just an outstanding young man, character dude, super locker room guy. Is that what you're around that program on a daily basis. Was that your experience?
That's the vibe that I get from him. We're around those guys certainly a lot less in the new world of COVID, the new order of media interviews on Zoom and everything. But that's just what I saw and what I felt from him would definitely be the same. I just think I think he loves his teammates. He's been very open about the special relationship that he has with A.J. Brown and how he learned from him. And then, of course, you could see Brown's reaction to Elijah getting drafted, his reaction on Twitter in that video that made the rounds. I just think he's a team guy. I think his priorities are in the right order. And, and I kind of chuckled a little bit after Pro Day when he was talking with us, and he said, I should be the first overall pick. I don't, there aren't that many people. Who's better than me in this draft? I mean, it's great to have confidence, and he certainly does have confidence.
I like it.
But you saw the evaluations, and they were what they were, and those mock drafts aren't usually off that much. I thought the key to him going into the draft was he was a team guy and a hard worker, in addition to being an incredible talent. You knew he was going to get picked about where they thought he would be picked. He didn't have off-the-field issues that were going to cause him to slide in the draft.
Right. Where were they? Is that A.J. Brown's condo or house in Oxford or Nashville? Do you know where they were, Parrish?
I'm not sure where. I do not know where they were for that.
That was a pretty cool moment with A.J. and Elijah Moore.
Yes. I mean, you could see the connection that they have. And one of Elijah's comments was, I'm going to immediately be the hardest worker wherever I go. Well, again, confidence is good, but the fact remains his priorities are in order. He will go in and work. I think he'll get opportunities to play, to make an impact. I think he'll succeed at the next level. I think the Jets got to steal.
No, I'm with you. Parrish Alford on the Out of Bounds show, his Facebook page, Ole Miss discussion with Parrish Alford. Parrish joins us on the Modelo guest line as we get ready for Cinco de Mayo. And we're giving away an unbelievable-looking Modelo cooler over the next 2 days, so we're excited about that. Parrish, Matt Corral, Dane Brugler with theathletic.com just dropped his, because it's never too early, his 2022 first-round draft, although nobody knows, who's drafting where. And he had, was it 5 QBs? 5 QBs in his first round, and Matt Corral's not one of them, which blows my mind. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, I also think, look, and Blake was telling me before we got started that he had Malik Willis in there, I think, the Liberty guy, who I'm sure is talented and I know has been coached well. Look, if you have him ahead of Matt Corral right now, then I think there's just some shock value to that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and Matt Corral, there weren't 5 quarterbacks better than him last year.
No.
No. I look at when I look at Matt, if you want to look at the pros and cons, he had 11 interceptions in 2 games. Okay, he had 14 for the year. So that means in 8 other games he had 3 interceptions. He had 11 in 2 games. So he has a little bit of a gunslinger mentality, an ability to, get outside the offense and not recover kind of thing. He's got to work on that. And maybe that comes with maturity and growth this year, not pressing, staying within the offense. The other thing is, 7 interceptions against Arkansas, he doesn't get up to 7 interceptions in that game if Lane Kiffin pulls him out. Most coaches pull the guy out, say, look, watch a series or 2 from the sideline, take a look and see if you can regain your composure. The flip side of that, if Lane Kiffin pulls him out, then they may not have a chance to win the game.
Sure.
And in both of those games, both of those losses, Arkansas and LSU, when he had all those interceptions, Matt Corral had the ball at the end of the game with a chance to win. Now, he turned it over early against Arkansas. It was like turnover number 7. Against LSU, he's got the ball. There's been a day of interceptions, and they're driving down, and I'm thinking they're about to win this on the last play of the game. They get to like the 20 and then fumble. But, so the flip side is, if he gets pulled out of the game, then maybe they're not even in position to win it at the end. But they had chances in both of those games with all those turnovers.
No, and I agree. And also, Kiffin continues to be an aggressive play caller, even with Corral throwing pick 4 or 5 and so on a day like that.
Right.
And I think that's just what you live with. Kiffin's that talented, and so is Corral, and they're not going to. Here was my takeaway on those 2 games. They're not going to adjust what they're doing, even if they're they're not going to go super conservative. And honestly, I think that's kind of cool. Coaches tend to, once their quarterback starts to lose his way, coaches tend to go into a shell, Parrish, and that doesn't work either. So that let it rip mentality tells me, Kiffin's got confidence in his play calling, and he's got confidence in eventually Corral making a play. So I kind of like it. But I agree with you on this year's draft. There weren't 5 QBs better than Matt Corral, and there's definitely, this Malik Willis thing. I asked Luganville about him. He said, yeah, he's a good G5 QB. To have him going 6th in the first round, and I understand he's under Hugh Freeze, and he'll put up some great numbers. But come on, that's insane to me. All right, let's talk baseball. What a bounce back, Parrish. I guess it started with the walk-off and the come-from-behind 9-1 win over LSU, and then they rip off 3 straight on South Carolina. What was your one big takeaway from the sweep this weekend for Ole Miss?
I think they hit the ball well, and they hit with runners on base. They scored some runs. They've hit well often this season, but they haven't always hit with runners on base. We've written a lot about the bullpen and the struggles there. Fact of the matter is, number one, the bullpen was very good this weekend. It was kind of a bounce-back weekend for them. But they also didn't have as much stress as they might encounter, as they have in the past when you bring in a middle reliever with 2 on and 1 out, and you got to make great pitches right then. They had some runs to work with. They had a little bit of an advantage there. Taylor Broadway, who's been very good as a closer, pitched in all 3 games. So you're pitching twice on Saturday there, but in only one of those games was it even a save opportunity. He came out to close games, and he did, but there weren't a lot of stressful pitches because they had hit the ball with runners on base and scored runs. They had extended leads, but the bullpen really was just such a bounce back for them this weekend. I think I've crunched the numbers on them a lot after weekends when they might have like a 14 ERA or something like that. Well, against South Carolina, in 10 2/3 innings, a 0.84 ERA, one run allowed. They may have found something in the freshman, Jack Doherty. May have found somebody to give them that setup guy, that middle reliever to get the game to Broadway. Certainly his stock is rising since his red shirt came off a couple of weeks ago. And he developed this fan club right away after he struck out 5 out of 6 against Austin Peay. But, man, that's Austin Peay. Well, he has progressed. He has gotten his SEC opportunities, and he has pitched well, and he's made himself an important piece at an important time. True.
Parrish Alford. Ole Miss discussion with Parrish Alford on Facebook, djournal.com. He joins us on the Modelo guest line. Ole Miss insider Parrish Alford on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. So Ole Miss, after the sweep this weekend, number 9 in the NCAA's baseball RPI. And as you mentioned, well within regional host range. What do you think about national seed right now, Parrish?
Here's the thing about national seed. If they look strictly at RPI, and that will be a big factor, then there are 8 teams ahead of Ole Miss. I don't see that Ole Miss has won a series against anyone else that they're competing with for national seed. And we're talking just about the SEC here. They haven't won a series. They didn't win a series against State. They didn't win the series against Arkansas. Those teams are in there. The Vanderbilt series for them comes after the announcement. The announcement's early this year. I think all that factors in. I think the RPI, a big factor in that right now, is that Texas weekend where they beat every one of those teams on opening weekend. But for Ole Miss, you kind of peaked there, and then you started, your SEC play. You had the sweeps, and you regained a little momentum against Alabama and Auburn. Those were not the elite conference teams. They went more than a month without winning a conference series before South Carolina. They were on the edge of losing goals, even losing goals like regional host status if they had lost another one, if they had fallen to the Gamecocks in the series. I think national seed is a stretch. They could get there. I think part of it's going to depend on how many national seeds they want to give the conference, and maybe it comes down to the last national seed. Maybe you're looking at Ole Miss and you're looking at Tennessee. Well, that's an interesting conflict for the committee to decide. Then, do you want to give it to tradition and atmosphere and everything that you want, the way in which you want college baseball to be exposed, the coverage? Do you want to give it to that team, which is Ole Miss, or do you want to really reward an up-and-coming program and reward Tennessee for the progress they've made this year? You could see this building, and now they're there. Do you want to reward that continual progression, or do you want to reward the tradition? And the resumes, they're going to be similar.
Yeah. Interesting. See what plays out over the weekend. Parrish Alford, Ole Miss insider, on the Modelo guest line. Parrish, as we wrap it up, I've got about a minute and a half here. Randy Clements was fired last week, offensive line coach at Ole Miss. Weird timing. Have you heard any names surface as far as what Lane Kiffin may do in the next week, couple of weeks here? That unit was the best unit on the team. And have you heard anything on what Kiffin may do?
I have not heard any specifics. I know that when that opening comes about, immediately Marcus Johnson's name comes around from Ole Miss fans.
Right.
I think Lane Kiffin really doesn't. You don't hear much leak outside the program like that. You don't. There's just not a lot that gets out. I know that. I don't know that there have been any conversations with Marcus Johnson, but I know there's a lot of interest in him.
Interesting.
From Ole Miss fans, and you hear that name, and certainly you've seen his rise and how he resonates with recruits and all of these things, and he's an Ole Miss guy, and he still owns a house in Oxford. I mean, there are a lot of things that would make Marcus Johnson an attractive candidate, but I don't know that he is Lane Kiffin's candidate.
Right. Okay. And for our listeners, Marcus Johnson's at Missouri right now as the offensive line coach after spending a couple of years in Starkville under Joe Moorhead. Parrish, we appreciate it, man. Take care. Glad you're safe.
Thanks a lot. Y'all have a good day.
DJournal.com, Ole Miss discussion with Parrish Alford. He joined us on the Modelo guest line. Cinco de Mayo is tomorrow, but it's a Taco Tuesday today, Blake. That's right, a Taco Tuesday brought to you by an ice-cold Modelo. So if you're throwing some tacos together tonight at the Hacienda, then you want to go with an ice-cold Modelo with the lime. We're giving away an unbelievable-looking cooler. About to post it on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Tell you how you can enter to win. And we've got Pete Lavin coming up next, general manager of the M Braves. It's opening day, baby. Back in a second.